Hello everybody, welcome to the show. My video is playing up a little bit, or my video camera I should say, so that's why I've ended up doing this as an audio only. But hopefully you've got lots of lovely pictures and videos accompanying this YouTube version. One of the problems with this world is, of course, we come up against people. People are really difficult to deal with. You know, we have these people that know everything, yet seem to get quite a lot of things wrong. We have people who want to be in charge but can't take responsibility for their own actions. Stupidity definitely breeds in large groups of people. Stupidity is definitely contagious. And yet we have to keep reminding ourselves that we're doing this work to try and understand why these people are like this. Why are people so annoying? I'm probably annoying to a lot of people as well. I probably really get on people's nerves. And I can see that I can be quite frustrating for some people when I see through them. As Bill Hicks used to say, you know, the great thing about taking drugs was that it taught him how to see through people. And people don't like that. They like to think that they're being all coy and none of us know what's really going on in their minds. But we can read people. But other people don't read people, and they don't see what's how people are acting. I remember once me and a guy at work had a bit of a collision, ding dong, didn't see eye to eye. This was in the workplace, and I did turn into a bit of an idiot actually and lost my temper with him, but he had frustrated me to the point of that I lost my temper. This was a long time ago, but all he wanted was an apology, and my boss made me apologise to him, and I was so naughty. I did it really sarcastically. I'm sorry, you know, really didn't mean it at all. Yet he accepted that because all he wanted to do was to hear the words. He didn't understand how to read into them words and my tone or anything. All he wanted was to have the words said to him so that he could go off to everyone and say I had apologised. Where I'm kind of more of a, I hope, can see when people are being disingenuous to me and when people are being genuine with me. And this is also part of the work. It helps us to understand other people and ourselves. But I know it does also annoy people that we can kind of see through them, or we are aware of when they are lying, or we are aware when they are being up to something. A lot of people are up to something. Everybody has an agenda, and that makes it quite difficult as well, because it's creating an odd vibration between the two parties. And it also makes me realise why a lot of people just don't get on with people in this world, because they're all on some secret agenda to get their way through life without being honest. They have no integrity. So we have to remember that people are not awake, but they're just ambling by mechanically in their everyday lives, repeating patterns, copying their peers, copying their parents, perhaps trying to pull a fast one because they feel everyone's out to get something. That's something I notice a lot amongst people. They're all trying to get free rides, or worried about being left out or missing out. That's a big thing. People don't want to miss out. I was a bit like that. I didn't want to miss out on things. Realise now that it's not that important. The important thing is working on myself so that I can then hopefully go forward and help people to not miss out on things and learn things. But as we all know, not many people are attracted to this kind of work. You can see from my own numbers that, you know, I have lots of subscribers, but only 10% of either of my channels, my YouTube one and my BitChute, both of them is got an average of 10% of my subscribers actually watch what I put out. So there's people, they have that want to do it, but they haven't got the effort, or can't be bothered, or they've got something more important to do that might be, which is fine, you know, other people have other more important things to do. I'm not saying my programs are the be all and end all of everything, but you know, they're being distracted by other things. You know, I like to think of myself as a considerate person. I'm doing this because I want to help others and myself. You know, I cannot deny how much these shows, doing this research and keeping going over the work and reinforcing the work efforts or ethics helps me to look at myself and my place in the world and how I treat other people. I know we need to be considerate, but other people are not always considerate of us. Oh, there's so many people out there that the world's all about them. And that must be a very strange world to live in. You know, people treat other people as NPCs, as is being spoken about more and more in the last few years, these non-player characters. I myself have been treated by people I used to quite respect as an NPC. That's been a bit of a wake-up call of, oh, they don't actually see me for who I am. But then am I ignoring what people are doing, other people are doing? Do I not see what other people are, who they really are? It's a two-way thing, this kind of work. When we notice what other people are doing, we then have to look at what we're doing ourselves. I'd like to think that I am considerate of all people, but I know some people have been hurt by my own actions or my words, or maybe have misunderstood me, and I try to be definitely more considerate these days than I was in the past. But this is all part of looking at the work and helping ourselves. And I was reading some Maurice Nicoll the other day, and he was talking about, though it's painful to look at the past and our misdemeanors and our fuck-ups, let's say, and our when we make a mess of things, but he's saying by looking at it and being aware of it and hopefully seeing the right action, perhaps even visualizing what the right action is in the recurrence when we relive this life, hopefully we won't make the same mistakes again. Learning to understand the psychology of people is imperative in the work. We have to do this by studying ourselves and why we react to things. What are our motives? What is it that we are after? What makes us do things so that we can get, for example, what we want? Do we manipulate? Or are we trying to help people and using that as a reason to bring up our own ego, to help our own ego feel good? By studying other people as well and learning the psychology of people, we understand why they react as they do, why they act like they do, why they tell lies about people or tell lies about themselves. There is a reasoning behind it. You know, they might be trying to protect themselves, or they might be trying to big themselves up. But we need to learn to understand why people do these kinds of things, because then we can be aware of what they're up to. I'm not saying that we're judging them, but we can make sure we don't get caught up in their manipulations or their patterns, or why do people follow such patterns. I'm going to say an example here for myself. I can be quite unpredictable, and people don't like that, especially when I first meet them and they like to get to know me, and then they put me in a little box, safe and secure, of the knowledge of who I am and what I do, and then I do something that would be outside of the box and they don't like it, puts them on edge. But this is people wanting to have a safe, secure, everything, we know what's happening in life kind of life. You know, if you can put everything in a box, then you understand it, you've got control of it. But if something acts outside of the box, it knocks people off their guard, it makes people feel unsecure. And one thing with life is not secure, and I find that many people are trying to make their lives as secure as possible. So they follow everything, like that's why we have mass herd mentality, because if everybody else is doing it, it must be right. I remember a meme that used to go, well, it wasn't a meme in them days, it was more of a cartoon drawing of everybody was a sheep, and there was a rhinoceros in the pack, in the sheep pack, and it was facing the other way to where all the sheep was going, and it was saying, be a rhino in a herd. But if everybody was rhinoceroses, would the world be chaos? Or would everybody be being true to themselves and who they really are, and possibly more understanding of each other, and then can learn from each other? I've met many people in my life that like to mimic, they copy what other people are doing, they follow the fad. You know, that I've got a new washing machine, so then they've got to get a new washing machine. I put a new roof on my house, they put a new roof on their house, and such like that. And I understand some people can't make their own decisions for themselves, and they are like little lost sheep that need to follow everybody else, which is why we have to set good examples, I hope, that they would follow rather than being a manipulative or psychotic person that scares them into submission. We don't want to be them kind of people either. But studying people and how they are and how they react and why they do things, I think is a very important part of the work, because it helps us understand humanity and the chaos that reigns in it. And this lying and fibbing is unnecessary. But for some reason we're living in a world where people do it. I don't always understand why. If truth was actually being spoken, we'd all understand each other a lot better. I know many of the crazy situations I've been involved in with other people is because a lie has, how to put it, wiggled its way through the situation, or has begun that situation, a white lie. It's very hard to keep lies going. Once it's said, people normally try to carry it on because they don't want to have to admit that they lied to get whatever it is they wanted. So again, we need to, by working on ourselves, we learn to become aware of when someone's lying. It's like our spider senses go off. But it is difficult to confront people about such things. They don't like to be confronted that they've lied. And sometimes it does seem to make the situation a lot worse when there's a confrontation. But that's because people are not learning how to speak to each other. There's a real lack of communication amongst people. And people don't understand how to challenge people, I suppose, when there's a situation that's going awry. But we don't know how to deal with it with kindness and sympathy. I do see people charging in. I myself often charge in like a bull in a china shop when I see something being wronged at me, or I'm being manipulated in a way when I should be more understanding and bringing kindness. But that's programming from the way I was brought up, which is why it's very important to look at how we were brought up, figure out our programming and switch it, change it, reprogram ourselves so that we can deal with these situations in a more understanding, compassionate, and definitely with kindness kind of way, in a kindly way. Now Dionysius the Areopagite was a student of St. Paul. He was a mystic from the 1st century after Christ, and he taught that man was threefold: body, soul and spirit, and this carried through Christian theology for some centuries. Well, that was until the 9th century, 869 AD in fact. At an ecumenical council, a decision was taken to remove the Holy Spirit from the liturgy and begin to teach that man is dual, has only a body and a soul. Now, why was this? Why would the Church break up the Trinity and the idea of mankind being threefold? Now, this is because the Holy Spirit came down from above and can be called upon to assist in prayers, healing and such like. It's a transforming process when one receives the Holy Spirit. It transforms within one a more loving spiritual connection with the divine and a waking up of what is going on in this world and this universe. It was usually called upon in baptism, when people were also being conversed to Christianity and to prayer. And this is something that's quite important about the Holy Spirit, that it's giving us the chance to connect with the divine and to transform us within and without. And this can be done as an individual process. But of course, obviously, the organised church grew bigger and exerted more control over spiritual development. And I suppose it became concerned with the idea that men and women can connect with the Holy Spirit themselves and had their own individual epiphany with the divine, which of course the organised church didn't want. The organised church wants the people to go to the church and the clergy for spiritual guidance and instruction, which is not a bad thing to do for those that aren't receiving the Holy Spirit. May we be blessed with the Holy Spirit. You know, the church should be there to help us, but it should be reminding us that we are body, soul and spirit. I suppose really what this is with the church is it's a control thing. Anything that wants to control anything or anyone has really lost control of themselves, and maybe the church feels it's lost control of its people and itself, and maybe its own connection with the divine. Anyway, the Holy Spirit provides 7 gifts, and this is in Corinthians chapter 12, verses 4 to 11. Counsel, fear of the Lord, fortitude, piety, understanding, wisdom and knowledge. But one has to petition for these. One has to ask for them. And the church leaders don't want you doing that for yourselves. They want to petition to God. Is it for you or for them? Are they trying to get the Holy Spirit to come to them only? Whereas I think, and I believe this is what the teachings of Gurdjieff and Rudolf Stein are telling us, it's your business to do this for you. This is your chance to connect with the Holy Spirit. And I want to remind us that Gurdjieff talks about the laws. And in Galatians chapter 5, verse 18, I shall quote, "If you are led of the Spirit, you are not under the law." Now, isn't that an interesting quote? And I wonder if this is something Gurdjieff was trying to explain to us, that we need to break free of the laws. We bring less and less laws down upon us as we do the work. When we're not working, all the laws, and there's many laws for this world, are working on us. But if we're developing ourselves and doing the work, the laws get less and less and less and become more of the important laws that are working upon us. So if you are led of the Spirit, you are not under the law. We must connect with the Holy Spirit. To reach the Holy of the Holies, the Holy of Holies, one walked through the main buildings of the cathedral, temple, whatever. You enter and you have to go through certain rooms to reach the Holy of Holies, and them rooms are set up in a divine cosmic geometry style building to help cleanse you as you're making your way to the Holy of Holies. And in olden days, only certain people were allowed into the Holy of Holies. But Christ has opened it up so that we all can reach it. We can all find the Holy Spirit. We can all call to the Holy Spirit. A spiritual practice reminds us of the divine source and how we're trying to help the divine source, or as Gurdjieff says, we're helping with the sorrow of his endlessness. And that sorrow is people turning away from the divine and not being part of the cosmic, ongoing continuation of the universe. In the Jewish Kabbalah, they had the Tikkun Olam, which was to repair the world, to repair the universe. And this is what our spiritual practice should be helping us to do. Our daily living practice. We must remember God in all things. We must remember God in all acts. Laughing at demons, you come to ruin my life. At first I let you get to me with your lies and manipulations. I would get frustrated, and you would be delighted. I would end up in tears, and you would dance all night, keeping me awake, reminding me of the past, bringing up forgotten incidents thick and fast. My mind would go in overdrive, my heart would turn to stone. My body tightened with the stress. I'd never felt so alone. Then one day I was shown a way to deal with your demonic games. First I smile, then I laugh as you inflict your pain. My mind takes a minute, my heart begins to soften, my body rests, so that all of your antics can be depressed. Received and dealt with ease. I'm no longer tired from your games and pain. I'm prepared to laugh at them until you go away.